Well, welcome back to another episode from Orca Camp on Vancouver Island. I'm your Orca pal Sandra, co-owner of Grey Wolf Expeditions, and every summer my husband Jesse, our longtime friend and assistant guide Dan, and I welcome guests from all around the world to one of the greatest wildlife destinations left, Orca Camp Vancouver Island. Most people think they're coming here to see orcas, humpback whales, sea lions, and such. And yes, of course, we're here for the wildlife, especially the orca. Watching a 6-ton northern resident orca quietly past our camp or while you're kayaking is something you will never forget. But here's something most visitors don't realize, and I feel we have a whole bunch of stuff many topics to cover today. Let's start. The orcas are only one chapter of a much bigger story, because nothing in nature exists alone, and we all know that. From the salmon to the forest to the rivers, the bears, the eagles, they are all connected. Today, let's talk about that story. And let's talk about why does July feels different than any other month here on Vancouver Island, on the north part of Vancouver Island. Every July, something incredible begins to happen. The ocean comes alive, the rain is here to stay, the sun warms waters and forests, and the salmon is back. This is when the northern resident orca begin returning more consistently to the waters around northeastern Vancouver Island. Not because they follow a calendar, but because they follow food. Their movements closely track the arrival and abundance of the Pacific salmon, especially Chinook salmon. That's their preferred salmon prey. Through summer and into early fall, Johnstone Strait and surrounding waters become one of their most important seasonal feeding and socializing areas. And people often ask, how do the whales know when it's time to return? And the answer is, they've been doing this for hundreds, if not thousands of years, generation after generation. And you all heard that the northern resident orcas are matriarchal marine mammals. I should also cover the northern resident orcas exist in 3 clans. Many people know there are northern resident killer whales or orcas in our area. Few realize they're actually divided into 3 acoustic clans. There's the A clan, we've got the G clan, and then the R clan. And these are different species. Think of them more like large extended families with different dialects. Every clan speaks slightly differently, and researchers in our area here can actually identify which clan and often which pod or individual orca is nearby simply by listening to their calls underwater. Clans are made up of related pods, which are made up of metrolines led by older females. Imagine if every family reunion has its own language. That's essentially what happens beneath the surface. Now, as I mentioned that many times before, within the northern resident orca community, family comes always first. This is probably the reason people fall in love with orcas, and of course of Free Willy and Blackfish. But I think family, a son that stays with his mother for his entire life, daughters take over the metro line, grandchildren stay, grandmothers become living libraries. Scientists and researchers have even found that survival of adult sons improves where their mothers are alive, a remarkable example of how important older females are within these families. When one whale knows where salmon are, the whole family, the entire pod, or even the entire clan knows, because their vocals travel kilometers. The whales we hope to meet this summer is, of course, as every season, we become excited to see familiar fins again, and maybe the A42s, maybe the A30 family, maybe A50, named Cleo, maybe Blinkhorn. Blinkhorn is around, I think pretty much every summer, maybe even Top Notch's family, A5, right? Maybe Springer and her family. These aren't just identification numbers or names. They're kind of like old friends. We recognize the scars, the dorsal fins, the saddle patches. We celebrate new calves if they arrive past camp. We remember whales we've lost, of course. Every encounter feels like meeting family you haven't seen since last summer. It feels like a big family barbecue get together. And you know, the beaches nobody else has in the world, or that specific behavior, the rubbing, the belly rubbing on Pebble Beach rock, is one of the reasons Johnstone Strait here on Vancouver Island is so extraordinary, is because it contains one of the world's most famous rubbing beaches. And every summer, entire families of northern residents slowly enter shallow water along the coast. There are many, many rubbing beaches along our coast, and our camp is one of their rubbing beaches. And they just roll over those smooth pebbles on the beach, and nobody really knows exactly why, but many of us think it's a social thing. It removes dead skin cell. It's maybe simply feels good to them. But what's fascinating to me is they teach the next generation to do it too. And if you scroll through our videos, you'll see sometimes those baby orcas, they come right really close up because they are so small. So it's kind of like a cultural thing, maybe even an instinct, but it's just incredible rare in the animal kingdom to watch orcas come this close without looking for prey. And then, you know, in this time of year, the ravens arrive, and when you're in camp, you can hear them squawk and talk, especially when they have their youngs, and they have to teach them a whole bunch of things, you know. And you know, most visitors barely notice the ravens, and I feel that's something to point out. And around Orca Camp, they're everywhere. They're watching, they're listening, they're learning, and ravens are among the world's most intelligent birds, and I'm sure you know that. They recognize faces, solve problems, remember food catches, and even appear to play. And on our coast at Orca Camp there are also remarkably recyclers, feeding on salmon carcasses, on fish, remains left by the bears or wolves or sea lions, and even stranded marine life, helping move nutrients through the ecosystem. While ravens don't directly influence where orcas travel, they are part of the same coastal web of life that depends on healthy salmon runs and productive oceans. So the forest feeds the rivers raise salmon, the salmon feed the orcas. The leftover salmon nourishes bears, wolves, eagles, insects, and ravens. Even the trees benefit as marine nutrients are carried inland by animals. So you see, everything is connected, and we hope that the drive into camp will bring that a little bit closer to you. And maybe that may be the greatest lesson nature teaches me, is that everything is interacting with each other. And our peak orca season has arrived right now. Peak season is here. Every morning out. Every morning our excitement is exactly the same. What families have returned, will we see any orcas, how many orcas will we see, who is traveling together, will there be new calves, will we maybe hear over the Orca Lab cameras and hydrophones the A clan or maybe the G clan. Maybe today the R clan surprises us. Now, no 2 days are ever alike at Orca Camp Vancouver Island, and that's exactly how wild nature should be, in my opinion. Closing today's Orca Camp Vancouver Island podcast, people often tell me, I came here to see orcas, but almost every guest leaves saying something similar. I didn't realize how connected everything is. And maybe my beautiful orca lovers out there, that's the real magic of Orca Camp. Not simply seeing wildlife, but understanding it. This is it from me to now. I have to start packing up for the next trip. Thank you so much for joining me today here in today's episode of Orca Camp. If you enjoyed today's story, I'd love for you to subscribe, share it with another wildlife lover, and maybe one day join us here in the heart of Northern resident orcas. I will see you next time.